welcome to Open Door with Dr. Brett. And I'm here with an in-person guest in this kind of awkward time right now, Jourdan Grate.
Yes.
What a great last name. People say that to you all the time, I'm sure, right?
You're
Something
right.
Like they
Jourddan
do, right?
Grate, definitely.
All right, cool.
So I try to keep up the positivity and that.
Yeah.
in that
Have you
aspect
stayed
as well.
positive in this experience over the last few months? We're going to get into sports and sports psychology as we go, but it's a little bit of an awkward time. So I'm wondering how it's affected you.
Right, because me trying to be positive all the time and good vibes and try to resonate that, things are so serious and there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of frustration everywhere and uncertainty. So I'm not the only one, so I'm trying to help people navigate through it while I try to navigate through it myself. Definitely feel points of confusion and doubt and everything, anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, try to look into yourself, try to find some good points to accentuate.
Yeah, so that's really well said. You know, I mean, trying to find that balance and really trying to stay out of fear. You know, I work with a lot of athletes, right? And I work with a lot of business people, and we're always addressing fear on some level and courage and staying out of fear. And it sounds like you're already doing a lot of that naturally, right? So you're like coaching and guiding, right? It sounds like you're doing something like that.
Yeah, attempted to, as related to sports. Like if you're going into the game, you can't fear to lose, but at the same time, you have to be realistic that that's a possibility. And if so, how are you going to handle it? So in life right now, a lot of people are losing. So, you know, how can you win and turn things around?
Yeah, totally.
And
What have
adapt.
you done specifically different in this last 3 or 4 months? You know, how have you stayed so positive and stayed out of fear? It sounds like you've stayed out of fear for the most part.
Right. Well, I can tell you, children are a big part of it because when you have kids, you end up you build up another strength because you have to be there for them. They're not strong enough to persevere.
Yeah.
So as far as business-wise, you have to advertise differently, switch up things, have a different approach to adapt to a lot of regulations,
Yeah,
and to
totally.
also people's reaction to how you even greet, and can have, you know.
Yeah, so that's really well said. I mean, you know, it sounds like you've gotten a little bit more creative in this process. But as a parent, you know, I've worked with like thousands of parents in my lifetime, and I often say that, you know, you're guiding your children through your actions and who you are. And if you don't have courage, how are you going to teach your children courage, right? So it sounds like you are pretty clear that you've got to like lead. You're the parent, and you have to live without courage. I mean, live with courage, right? Live without fear is what I'm trying to say.
To a point,
And on
yes.
a business level, it sounds like you've also gotten more creative, which is something I talk about a lot too, is like, you know, getting more creative as a business person. But with these athletes that I'm guiding, because some of them have been bored, you know, they're starting to come back to universities at the moment, but for the last 3 or 4 months, they've been, you know, basically at home with their parents, some of them locked down,
Right, like,
and they've been pretty bored. And so we've talked a lot about getting more creative, something you're already doing on a business level.
Okay. So that's like that's athletes that were about to go pro or just became or semi-pro,
college athletes,
or college
you know,
athletes
going
that have
back to
a couple years left or a
Yeah,
few years left, and
exactly.
they're still in the
Well, they got to, you know, the camps are starting June, July, August. Well, not June, July, August. So they're
Right.
going back to their camps at schools, and the universities are trying to figure this thing out right now. You played volleyball, right, in college?
In college, yes, I played volleyball.
What was that like?
The college is a great step off as far as training methods. They have great facilities and great coaches, a lot of things at your disposal where not really, they're there to help you. So that's where the college is a good learning
And that's
experience.
in comparison to your
just high
experience
school
growing
is
up
basically
in Jamaica, right?
Yeah, in
Like,
Jamaica
is
as well, yes. In a different country, they don't have the facilities as here, but you can train in different ways.
Yeah.
Here, for example, like in volleyball, they had the ball machine. So they use a football machine that would use to toss the footballs and put the volleyball, so they would come about 100 miles an hour. So.
Wow, that's pretty
Right.
intense.
Yeah, so when those come, it's, you know, that you can simulate that.
Right.
So then when you go into a game situation, you adapt to it. Now with the colleges, it's just how many games are going to be played, how are the games going to be played, but you have to find other ways to just continue training, so that way when the games open up, hopefully when they do, they can be ready for it.
I've got this D1 quarterback I've been working with, and we've worked a lot on the mental game because we've had a lot of time now, right? He hasn't been physically practicing until recently.
Okay.
And so we've talked a lot about meditation, mindfulness, visualization, breath work, different techniques to get more in the moment, and also actually a little bit more creative, because when you're doing a lot of the mental game training, you get more intuitive, and then you have a better feel in the pocket. And I make fun of certain pro quarterbacks that had no feel. And then you talk about guys like Russell Wilson or, Patrick Mahomes, and guys that have insane amounts of feel. Maybe they haven't been meditating since they were kids, but it sure almost seems that way with their intuitive ability. Do you have something like that? Do you have any of those gifts? Or do you practice any of that?
For that, it's like second nature. What you mentioned, it's
Is that
for those guys,
Jamaican,
it just feels like nothing. No, I
Because
wouldn't
for
even.
most Americans, it's not freaking second nature. Most people.
You're right. You're right.
No, this is hard work for some people.
You're right.
Yeah.
But everything is what I mean second nature. So I wouldn't say Jamaican. I mean swimming.
Okay.
So swimming brings a fluidity to it. So swimming, I see Russell Wilson and he's saying Patrick Mahomes and these guys. They're moving like they're in a wave.
Yeah, totally. Well, they're just sort of like they're in flow, right? It's like they just have that great feel and that great,
Yeah, they're not sinking. They're excelling. They're riding the waves. They're moving this way. They're not going against it. They're not going against the current. They're more.
Who's your favorite, athlete on this planet? Just out of curiosity. I know you're a volleyball player, but I know you follow every sport probably, or most of them. So
right, I follow every sport. Right now I have a sports cars and collectibles I mentioned to you. A lot of sports cars right now are doing great. Because of the downtime, a lot of people are more collected and going back into their memorabilia. And just based on seeing everybody, that one's a rough one, I know.
That's a hard question, right? I know it's not easy to pick one of anything on this planet. It's like, what's your favorite book or something?
You know what, though? I'll give it to Barry Bonds. Because I'm a baseball guy.
Barry Bonds?
Yeah, Barry Bonds. All the way.
That's interesting. Barry Bonds. Because a lot of people feel like he cheated.
I understand.
His head size grew. When their head size grows and they have to wear a different cap.
The whole steroids dynamic and everything. I understand.
That was an amazing time. We're old enough to appreciate that.
Right. And just,
like
because
Sosa,
of baseball cards
Mark
and everything.
McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds. I mean, that was nuts. When they were hitting all those home runs.
Right. So they all taking the steroids, but he hit the most home runs out of everybody that was taking the steroids.
Yeah, but you wonder if he was taking them for longer. I don't know.
Knows?
I really don't know.
But that topic, though, it has to do with the steroids. But then what kind of that goes into supplements?
You that he got
because everybody takes supplements. So like The Rock, right? So The Rock is a great actor and he's in a movie star and everything.
Right. Totally.
But who knows what he takes as far as I don't know. But he's big
probably
and he's
a
huge.
lot of stuff. I mean, he's like completely buffed at 50 or whatever, however old he is.
Exponentially as well. Vin Diesel did the same thing.
Yeah.
Their neck size double.
Yeah.
As you said,
did you ever see some of
Barry Bonds? I just said when he was hitting.
Yeah.
The way how he saw the ball though, they even would pitch to him, intentionally walk.
Oh yeah.
I never seen anybody do that. When they intentionally walk him, but he still hit a home run because he knew they were going to intentionally walk him. He swung the bat. I
didn't see that one. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah,
it's
you can
probably
look it
on
up.
YouTube.
Definitely.
That's really interesting.
Definitely. So he knew they were going to intentionally walk him, and he still kept his feet in, and he hit a home run by reaching out and hitting the intentional walk.
So was it just his pure talent that, when you say Barry Bonds?
Yeah. So and that's from the timeline of, because I just watch a lot of baseball. I watch a lot of basketball too, and I like how all the guys can jump. So I would say like Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, of course, these guys. Steph Curry, amazing shooting. But that's like the NBA in a different way. Yeah. And they all focus on different things. Russell Westbrook is just
so fast and
above everybody else. Even him and LeBron are two athletes. If you say athlete, they're all the way up there.
Yeah, totally.
The NFL is full of guys that are very, they're just very strong. So those guys,
LeBron is ridiculous, right? He's a specimen. I mean, he's ridiculous, right?
So that's
the level of physical talent is through the roof or whatever. Did you have any of that when you were playing volleyball?
Yeah. So what I did get though, I'm lucky. I'll tell you my little secret. I played beach volleyball. I played beach volleyball. So I didn't have to we didn't take any steroids. We eat lobster and We eat jerk chicken and with vibes.
That's cool.
But and sugar
Growing
cane,
up in Jamaica,
sugar
like,
cane,
you know,
papaya,
lobster.
mangoes. So that's how even the same bowl. That's the secret of Jamaican athletes.
Nice. Very
It's
cool.
yam, breadfruit, potatoes. It's
Yeah.
natural food. And when
Yeah.
you eat the natural food, that's what's fed to us all the time. For breakfast, we have ackee and saltfish and bananas.
Yeah.
You know, and for lunch, you know, it's like we have vegetables with rice and peas, and you know, a good portion of meat. And that's just everywhere. So everybody gets like a good nutritious diet. So the nutrition is just naturally good.
Nice.
But the secret is
You
paid in
probably
the
had
beach.
big, strong parents too, though.
No, my mom is very small, but my father's side of the family, they're pretty big too. So I got
You can't just be in the diet.
I got a little bit of height. I got some height, so yes. But the beach volleyball helped with jumping ability.
Oh, for sure.
So
You
that,
know,
right, so that's
Yeah.
really the key where I was getting at. Just jumping on the beach.
Yeah.
So when I played indoor, I had a little advantage because I could jump more. Yeah.
You know what's funny is when I was younger, I used to say I was 5'10" on a good day. Now I say I'm 5'9" on a good day. But I used to be able to put my fingers in the rim in high school when I was
good, though.
5'6", 5'7", because
Right.
my twin brother and I, we probably had like a 30-inch vertical. Like we could
Okay.
actually jump. Like, you know, for real. Now I
That's
tell
cool.
people playfully, if I get 6 inches off the ground, I'm like, how much is
Yeah.
your vertical rate now? Like,
Come on. Now, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can get up there. I try a little bit sometimes. I get a chance.
yeah.
I try to stretch
Do you
when
still
I get a
play
little chance.
basketball or no? Just
Sometimes, but
Yeah.
not so much anymore. not
yeah,
so
it's
much.
hard. It's
Yeah.
a tough physical game, right? When you
Tough physical
even
game.
just pick up basketball.
The last
it's
time I
pretty-
played, they knocked out my tooth.
Yeah, and you
I had to go to the hospital. My tooth went through my lip, and it's for fun. And it's like, come on, I can't be messing. I can't be breaking the body. These guys, they earn a good living.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I was like, well, but it was fun. I was going, and the guy, he was coming up, and his shoulder.
Oh, for sure. No,
I was coming down.
Oh no, it's like
At that time, I could still two-hand.
yeah.
I could two-hand dunk.
Nice.
Yeah.
How
but
tall
that's
are you?
like
How tall are you?
6'4".
Yeah. All right.
6'4".
All right. That's pretty.
I got the
good.
one leaning style. You know the one leaning style dunk. You know
Okay.
the one hand.
Yeah. No, I've never done that. I got 3 fingers on the rim.
Yeah. Well, I could do the one hand. You know, it's
But
okay.
I used to play, you know, we used to play pickup games. I did grad school
Yeah.
in San Diego, and we would play in, you know, in the different communities there. And like some of the dudes were like 6'5" or more or whatever.
Right.
And I would be in those games all the time because back then I was fast enough and I could shoot
Mm-hmm.
enough that I could at least play. I mean, I'm not obviously, you know.
No, so I was a little bit.
there.
So high school, I did great. All Miami Herald. I don't want to thing, but it was great. So that's what helped me get a scholarship. So that's what even the other athletes, if they're doing, they
You
should
mean at
record
Quincy
to get
University?
to scholarship to Quincy. My coach at the time, she filmed me a reel. So that's something that new athletes can do now is try to film more reels.
Oh, for 100%.
Film more reels
No,
because that's
it's a
the
big
only thing that
business
got me.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of scouts over the years that that's sort of one
Even
of
of
their
them working
businesses.
out, doing
Yeah.
the workouts and doing the jumps and doing
Oh.
the stuff, and some coaches see them putting in the work, and they might appreciate that. And
I think
that
that's
did help
probably
me
a
out.
big change, right, over the past 10 or 15
There's
years.
a lot
right?
more of that now.
Is
You're
people
saying.
promote themselves now,
Right.
to college, you know, coaches and so on, or
Right.
scouts or whatever. And that 20 years ago, that was probably not the
No, it was
case.
more
Right.
stats and numbers.
Yeah.
And
no,
they would
totally.
come to the game. You would get the scouts that would come to
Yeah.
the game, and they would say, "Hey," and they'd come meet you afterwards or beforehand, and everything. Hey,
Totally.
you know, I got scouted on Purdue University.
Now, are
Hunt-
you
some of the
coaching
schools.
now? What are you doing?
I
You're
was
still
coaching
in
for a
the,
while.
you know,
I was
yeah.
coaching for a while, and at Grandview
kind of
Prep,
co-
a
yeah.
school in Boca, and it's I
What kind
started
of
as a
coach?
middle school coach, and then I ended up being a high school coach
Volleyball or what?
for volleyball.
Okay.
Volleyball.
What was
Head
that
volleyball
experience
coach.
like as a coach? There's a question I'm going to ask over and over. You know, certain questions like, what was the experience like as a coach? Because everybody has different experiences, and I find it
To
like,
me, coaching
you
is
know,
the best thing. I would do it all the time. It's a great. I like to see the growth. Some of
Yeah.
the girls, when they would come
Yeah.
in, even on the middle school level, they wouldn't even know how to serve the volleyball over the net.
Wow.
Or they didn't know how to hit the ball to get over, or they didn't know how to dig. Or the ball comes, they don't know what to do with it. Some of them, they can't even toss
Yeah.
because that's middle school. But they get to high school, they have to be more coordinated. Oh, okay, it gets more competitive. So, okay, here's how you do this. And then when they grow, it's a great thing to see them try. Some of them try harder. Some of them give up. Some of
Yeah,
them say, you know,
Totally.
and it's so hard, and some of them, hey, you know what, maybe you shouldn't do this then. Do something else that you're good at, that it's not a stressful thing for you.
Yeah, totally.
It should be a good thing, a happy
Now,
thing.
what do you think that's about? I mean, I'm obviously a psychologist and sports psychologist, so I have plenty of the potential like answer to this question, but I'm just curious what you what do you think is the sort of like dynamic there when one kid seems to have a great attitude, another kid sort of, they quit easier. You've seen that all in coaching,
Right.
especially 7th to 8th, 9th grade. I've worked with a lot of like 14 to 25-year-olds, and I still think that there's an element of adolescence all the way through young adulthood, right?
True life.
Right. Yeah,
True life. We all have our inner child.
Yeah.
Respect. Yeah, man. And then
That's funny.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
So what is it, what's that dynamic? Why do you think it is that and
some kids, I'm just keep realistically, some kids just can't do that. Some kids can draw, some kids can see. So some things that they just can't do that.
Yeah.
Some kids can play golf, some kids don't want to.
Yeah.
So some of them cannot. They really want to. Really want to, but you know what? They're just not physically able to.
Right.
And some people are in our age right now, everybody want to say, hey, you can't do everything you can. But you can't do everything.
It's not true. Totally. I like to say that as well.
No.
Some people don't want to hear this, but it's not true.
No.
I agree.
But there's
I
other
totally
things
agree with you.
that you can use their brain and say, okay, guess what? Flowers. Okay, you like flowers? Try to figure out flowers and different plant species, and put your brain power and time towards that.
Totally.
Because not everybody can do it like LeBron James.
Right.
Steph Curry, different thing.
Pretty much
practice.
Almost no one can, and that's what people don't realize is that it's not just about attitude and hard
practice,
work.
and you try it a million times, you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Some of it is just raw talent.
Even like what you said about dunking. You try a million times.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I got 3 fingers on the rim. I was proud of myself.
And if you could squat, you could have did more squats. You could have did more things, and maybe jumped a little bit more.
Maybe 3.5 fingers, exactly. But I did yank my back out, by the way, because like when you hold that rim, my low back went out on me, like because I held the rim. So those guys are pretty tough. I mean, right?
I feel that now too. Yes. And I jumped and you landed this. But
back to the kids and the coaching, though, right? So. How many years have you spent coaching on and off through your life?
About 5 to 8 years coaching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Enough for you to sort of feel that art, right? Because some of those kids, right, you're basically okay with the fact that maybe they're better off doing something else.
Right, but some of them kept going. Right. And then, their serve got better. And then they kept going. And they say, hey, coach, and then they start running more. They get faster. And it just helps them in other aspects of life, too.
100%.
Like I said, just
100%.
so they can run and get their mental focus right. They say, hey, coach, I'm doing better in my classes because I couldn't do it. Some of them couldn't run a mile.
Totally.
They say, okay, just keep going. You can run the full mile and don't stop.
Well, that's exactly my perspective on sports, right? Is that like any time that you use a little bit more courage off the field, it affects your ability on the field, creativity as well. When you get a little more creative, I tell people like if they're righty, eat with their left hand, right? Yeah. Or if, I help people develop their listening skills, right? Because a lot of people are not great listeners, but what it does is it slows you down, forces you to be a little bit more patient and more in the moment. And that actually makes you a better athlete, right? Because you're more in that freaking moment, whatever that is. So so they like that aspect of courage and creativity. It sort of resurfaces everywhere. But what we're talking about is you as a coach having the flexibility, which is my bias too. Like I like people that are a little more flexible. So with each kid, they're like operating slightly differently, right? Motivating a little bit differently, potentially.
Exactly, because they have different limitation, different attention. Some. They need you to tell them to give them. Some of them just want to do it themselves. Leave me alone. I'm gonna do it. Right. Don't show me. They want to do it themselves. But then you give them some keys, and then you see them grow with those keys, and it's a good developing thing.
Oh, it's awesome.
You
coach older kids as well, or just middle school?
Yeah, so middle school. And then after I did that for a couple of years, and then I got a couple of years as a high school coach because they said you're doing pretty good, and the high school team wasn't doing good at all. They barely won one game, and it was by forfeit. The other team didn't show up. And they saw how good the middle school girls were having fun, and even They didn't have a boys team at the time.
Yeah, I can see that. They like the kids that you coach having more fun.
Yeah, they didn't have.
Yeah, you have a nice time.
Right. They were all having a great
I can
time.
see that.
And they were getting better as well.
Yeah.
And
no,
then
of
some of
course.
those kids
That's
were
what I meant that
transitioning to the high school at the time.
Right.
And one of the fathers, his name is Matt Woolard. He owned some of Gold's gyms here in South Florida. And he was a very inspirational guy. If you imagine, he managed like one in Pompano, one in Boca too. Because that's another father as well. So at that time, I didn't have any kids, but just the way how he was in his daughter's life and his daughter's life, he would come to all the practices. He would come to he would come to the games and be an integral part of his daughter's growth. And she ended up getting a scholarship for Lynn University to play volleyball.
Now, that's awesome. So how has your sort of like, personal growth evolved? You know what I mean? How have you evolved being involved with all these kids and coaching for 6, 7, 8 years? How have you changed as a result of coaching kids? I'm going to ask a tough question here. I can't help it.
Coaching kids, it gives you more responsibility.
Got it.
Because it's like you have to be there for them, and then they have a listening ear. They want to absorb the knowledge. So you have to have something to give them. So then it makes me go home and do my research.
Got it.
Try
So
to figure out
a little bit of a harder working person in some way.
Yeah, I have to schedule a game plan or a practice. And then, you know what? If I'm going to schedule a practice for a day, why not stretch that out for the week? And then what are the goals going to be? So you're going to figure out how to serve in. We're not doing so good on serving right now. We're not doing so good on this. We're not doing so good on endurance. So we'll do some more conditioning.
So has it forced you to be a little more organized as well?
Yeah, definitely.
That's
to be
interesting.
more organized.
Yeah, so not everybody wants to coach, right? Now that's not everybody's like dream,
No.
but for people that do coach, it tends to be pretty fulfilling, but it's also like a personal growth journey, right? Because
Definitely.
you're learning a lot about yourself as you coach others. I would imagine too you've gotten a little more patient. Is that true?
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
And at first, it's because people have the fear of speaking. Even me too. I'm apprehensive. I don't know what I'm gonna do. What's gonna happen? Which way you're gonna go? But you know what? When people put their foot forward and speak what's on your mind, coaching helps with that. But the game is like a real thing though. I pause because right now it's just there's no games. So I think that's a big impact
we're in this
right now.
weird, awkward time.
Right.
When do the games start again, by the way?
We're not hearing anything. Nobody doesn't know. Maybe they're starting some league. Maybe they do a summer league in basketball. Maybe they do football. They have some new helmets. Some new NASCAR, I think, started.
Golf has started.
And golf.
Golf has started, thank God. I mean, for me. But, it's an awkward time because do you pay attention to golf at all?
I used to play golf. I have an uncle at a golf store,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Your uncle owned a golf store?
Yeah, in
So
Naples.
so
Fit
how
to
many,
a tee golf. No
nice.
problem.
How many sets of clubs did you have?
I had a few. He gave me a few. Custom fit clubs too, no problem. He even gave clubs to Dan Marino and those guys in those days.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because I have this athlete. I have this athlete that I coach that's a golfer.
A lot of them.
And
exactly.
his clubs were in his car. His car got stolen. And so we had this conversation afterwards because he chased down the bad guys. And you don't want to do that because it's not worth it. But clubs for golfers are sort of like, that's pretty special stuff. So we had this conversation around having 2 or 3 sets of clubs now going forward.
Right.
Like backup clubs. But it sounds like if your
uncle
owned a golf store, then I think you're going to be fine, right?
Definitely.
So did you used to play at all? Because I'm biased towards golf. I think it's the best game on the planet.
Definitely.
Just because it forces you to be like super, like there's a spirituality to golf too, where you have to be so in the moment. Every shot is 10, 15, 20 seconds of pure focus. But there's also a lot of letting go involved because if you're, obsessing over something you did the shot before, you're done or you have no chance. And then if you have any kind of thought somewhere in that 10, 15 seconds, any kind of negative thought or any kind of excessive thought, you're done. Like again, you got the hooks or the shanks or the slices or whatever it is, you got something you don't want. So
I already read your game already, man. You
right
overthink your thought, the thought. No matter how much you think about it, you go back to the swimming thing. It's just a fluid movement.
Right.
No matter how much you think about it, the way how the club face hits the ball, it's just gonna do it based
So
on
this
your
is-
body and everything.
so
It's
watch-
not, it's not what you're thinking
So-
or nothing.
So Jordan, this
But
is
if you can think
fascinating.
something and get tense,
totally. So if you have any
or you're
kind
just in
of
the
tension,
flow. But
yeah,
then
it's in the
sometimes
flow.
too in the flow, then all right, then it's too open faced, and then it's gone that way.
Right. So yeah, exactly. So
a
that's
balance
this
vibe.
balance, right? That's the
It's the
art.
power of now kind of stuff.
Right.
Where you really have to just. That's why golf. You're right.
Yeah. So I was listening to a Phil Mickelson interview the other day. So I was listening to a Phil Mickelson interview the other day, and he was talking about like there's two kinds of golfers. You're either really bright and you're always trying to figure it out, or you're
Right.
really dumb and it doesn't freaking matter, right?
I'm
So,
trying to wonder what they keep talking about all the time. The main thing you talk about to me, you have to know, is the club.
Yeah.
Certain clubs is going to hit different yards and distance.
But it sounds
And-
like I'm not calling you dumb in any way whatsoever.
No,
I'm saying,
no.
but you're the letting go kind, which is sort of the more spiritual golfer,
one.
right? It's like you're the like.
The technical
Yeah.
aspect of it is the clubs.
Yeah.
So if you can understand the distance, then you can, okay, this distance.
Yeah,
that
yeah, for
distance.
sure. No,
I think that's the main part of golf that
Yeah.
people don't understand yet is the distance. Because you can use the wood, you use the one, which one you're going to use, the 7-iron. what
That's a
you're gonna use.
1-iron, by the way. Do you
Look at
remember
that. See,
the
they don't
famous,
use none of those things.
1950 Ben Hogan 1-iron where
Okay.
this shot he needed to hit on the green, he two-putted to tie, and this was 16 months to go into a tie, and he actually won in a playoff the next day. But this was 16 months after he almost died in a car wreck and had to build his whole body back. So this is actually an iconic, famous photo of a golf legend. Ben Hogan was one of the greats back in the 50s or whatever.
Right,
So it's
right.
not a random thing. But you
I
and I
got
could
some-
we could talk about golf
got some
for
golf
all
to
night
tell. I got
because
some
it
golf
sounds like
things.
you played enough to know that it's about like letting go. No swing
I used to
thought,
know
right?
the Lee Trevino days, you know?
That was a long time ago.
Hey,
So
stuff
like
that.
you
But yeah.
so who's your favorite golfer? I'm gonna ask him another question. He's gonna struggle with. I'm just being playful.
No,
I
we're not
knew you were
struggling. We're
gonna-
not struggling. We're not
like-
struggling. So,
Like, I'm actually not even sure as I answer this who mine is, right? Because it's like anything else. It evolves over time.
so what happened is, it's supposed to be Tiger, man, but he's just a fake guy and he's just a weirdo, and that's
Tiger's
in my
not your-
opinion,
But
It's
you
just, I
gotta
just see
admit
too
that
many-
comeback that
If
he
I just,
made.
if
was
we just
so-
talk about the golf aspect of the golf,
This
I
is
just
gonna be
don't, I don't want to see any Tiger Woods interviews in my life ever again. Every time
What's
you
the-
talk, I
what's
just
your
don't
beef?
like what
What's
he's
your
saying.
beef with Tiger?
The words that come out of his mouth. So, anyways, but
So for you,
and he
he's
doesn't help
not-
people, and he's a billionaire, and he doesn't help people in real life. And
What about his
He's-
foundation, though? I'm not just going to
I
challenge
looked
you.
into it already. He don't help nobody.
Okay.
That's a tax write-off stuff.
You
and
think
he can't help. I know so. And he can help more people, and he doesn't, and he's on a different path.
Okay, got it.
But
So
he
we're not-
plays golf physically.
we're not
He
Tiger.
broke a lot of numbers, and I saw how they Tiger-proofed a lot of courses, and he was breaking a lot of records when he was in his prime.
Now, did you
doing other
watch when
things.
he won the tour championship a year ago? You got to admit that
I
was
did,
like one
I
of the
didn't
most
see it.
special
It was a good
moments.
comeback. That was good.
Was that one of the most special moments ever? Like everybody crowds the 18th green when he's like walking up. And you remember like all the fans
Yeah.
came rushing in. Tell me you didn't have some kind of goosebumps
No,
for that.
no.
Even though you just
No, I
nothing.
didn't feel
That
the
didn't
vibes.
phase you
no.
at all.
No, because it was like golf trying to. It's like they're trying to just gain back ratings. Like they cast him away, and
But they
then they're like,
couldn't
and then they try to replace him. Jordan Spieth is pretty good and everything, and then what's the other?
Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Roy McIlroy.
Yeah, McIlroy.
McIlroy.
So
actually
Spieth
like,
and McIlroy want to, as far as the new guys.
yeah.
They're breaking a lot of records and they play. They know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
and what about Brooks Koepka? Are you like a Brooks Koepka fan or not really?
Not so
Just
much.
not so much.
No,
But
I don't
he's
see
got
enough of him
strong
play yet.
opinions,
I didn't
right?
see him play yet.
Well, he's won
much.
like 4 major championships in the
right.
past, I think.
So lately he's
4 or
been doing
5,
better,
something
right.
crazy.
I understand.
Right. So
I haven't been
when
following
you
a lot of
watch,
this
what do
year,
you
too.
follow the most? Is like,
Basketball is number
feels
one
like, yeah,
because basketball is the.
Are
that's
they going
what's
to have
happening
an
now.
NBA here at all? Is it over? I haven't really followed it that close.
So
What's the deal
a lot of the
there?
players are trying to have their own league,
Right.
some sort of indoor league.
Yeah.
But then, so the NBA itself, they want to do it too, because the NBA itself is a whole machine. All of the leagues are, even PGA, all of these leagues, they want to keep the ball rolling. For me, it's more of something to look forward to, like you said.
Oh,
Aspiring
my God.
athletes.
I mean, it's incredible.
And for fans as well. You know, it's stuff for us to do, because that's why I call pastimes. And you know, you watch it.
No,
and
it's
you do
like
things.
for us that, like, you know, every weekend I would be watching some sports. Now golf is back. I can watch a few hours.
Right.
But like they can't cancel Wimbledon, and I was like, why can't I don't watch tennis other than major championships.
I used to
But
play a lot of tennis. I want to bring my kids. I was going to bring my kids to the Miami Open. Serena Williams.
Did
and
they
everything.
cancel that?
They canceled it.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I want to bring them because I
it'd
bring
be
them to the
nice,
park. I play
because they
tennis
are
with them.
supposed to play the U.S. Open in New York
Okay.
in August.
That's a good start.
Yeah,
I want to see
mean,
more of that.
you know, but for me, tennis could have been played all along here had they just got rid of the fans. It would have been fine. I didn't see why they had to cancel Wimbledon. Like, you know what I mean? So I was pretty disappointed with that, because you just take the fans out, you test the players, you put the masks on the refs or whatever it is, and you play. Because it helps us, right? When we have the sports on, those of us that are wired this way.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Sports, you know, there's the
depressing,
movies, there's the
No more
TV shows,
movies,
no more.
yeah.
Let me get that next thing. Respect. But no more movie, no more show.
Are we okay?
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, good.
No, there's no more. They stopped all filming in Hollywood, basically, right? But there's 2 shows being filmed, and they started a Bachelorette, and they started a Bold and Beautiful.
Really?
So, right?
Reality show. What a shocker.
Right.
What a
A
shocker.
reality show and a soap opera.
What a
Right?
shocker.
Right. So
But
that's
they're
what I'm saying.
taking
So
away our
start.
sports?
Right.
Like,
So
that's
keep
just
the
not
sports
fair.
going.
It's not right.
Yes.
No, I got you. I'm on the same
All right.
wavelength.
You know?
Really appreciate that.
And there should be more things, you know. And like you said, if they need to adhere to more
Well,
regulations,
I think football's going to play. They'll find a way. Football's
they're
too
doing
big.
making new helmets.
Oh, new helmets, but that's nothing to do with COVID, right? Just for the
No, new
TBI.
helmets for COVID.
Oh, they are?
COVID friendly.
Oh.
They're making new COVID friendly.
So what does that mean?
All of them going to wear long sleeves, gloves, the whole thing, and a helmet.
And I would imagine, though, the testing
Like
part
it's
of it
like
is
more.
like, oh, so
Because it's just
like,
basically the
there's
face
no way
mask,
to-
so they all need the
But
glass.
what about like the offensive and defensive linemen? It's really the trenches that decide the
Right.
game, and
They
I mean,
all
I would
need
think
the
they're-
big face guard. That's what they're
I mean,
putting
this-
on the table.
Wow, this is fascinating. Because to me, it should be mostly about testing, but
Right.
whatever. I don't know.
That's what they're talking
I'm not
about
up
more.
yet on this. Like, you know, so they're going to be playing in
What is a
spacesuits
test?
or whatever.
Basically, staying in spacesuits.
That's crazy. Any other thoughts before we wrap up? I mean, it's been fun talking to you. Anything else that you want to share or that, you know, is popping across your mind while we're here, while we got you?
What
What are you
no,
curious,
I
what
think
are
you have a good
curious
thing
about?
going.
What are you curious about? I like answering random questions. I have no idea what he's going to say. So
No, what I was going to say at first is I appreciate what you're doing here.
Okay, cool.
You know, I'm grateful to see people helping out and everything,
Awesome.
and trying to put some authentic thoughts and point of views across.
very,
And,
very cool.
you
So
know,
we'll do
that's what's good.
We'll do the
No
COVID
problem.
elbow thing. Jourdan Grate, and I'm Dr. Bratt. Thanks so much.
Enough respect.